Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got another update on the Greenland front. This is exactly what Donald Trump feared. Greenland says they will turn to China if the US and the EU shun its mining sector. Now, recently it was reported there was a mineral deal that was agreed to by Europe and Greenland. The United States has not agreed to a deal yet because we're not interested in doing a minerals deal with Greenland. We're interested in acquiring the country. We're going to annex the country. I think that's what this is leading to because you see what Trump has said in the past. A minerals deal with Greenland is, especially with the way they give out permits and they're all temporary and you have to invest so much. It's for us, it's not worth it. We're just going to take the country. And you know what? When you look at Greenland and the location of it, we really do need to have Canada to support our annexation of Greenland because now Canada wants in on this Golden Dome. Inevitably, we're going to be paying for most of it. We already basically pay for all of Canadians' defense. And so we can't get them to. There's this talk now of China influencing Canada. Are you kidding me? With where they're located relative to us, just to our north. We could use Canada to endorse our annexation of Greenland. This is for security. I mean, you can see they're going to turn to China. Let's see what this article says. US and European mining companies need to hurry up to invest into Greenland. Otherwise, it will have to look elsewhere to help exploit its minerals, including from China, according to a minister that warned we need to develop our business sector and diversify it. Well, this is what we've been saying all along. This is why we've been saying, in part, the United States needs to take over Greenland because we can help facilitate this with a huge deal where you keep some. I mean, we're going to have to make a massive investment in terms of mining infrastructure and just overall infrastructure within the island along the coasts. And so, no, this is not going to be allowed. The Trump really needs to come out and say something about this. We're not allowing China to invest and to take resources away from Greenland. Why would Europe allow this either? Look at where Greenland is located. It's within our footprint. So how do they think this is going to play out? This is what Trump has been saying, and people originally said it was fear-mongering. It's like, well, you can't just say that the Russians and the Chinese are trying to invest into Greenland. And I mean, we know that China, I mean, you want to talk about a two-tier system and just how we're treated differently. They're allowed to exploit so many countries, poor African countries, take all their cobalt through Belt and Road. Nobody says anything. The second we do anything, whether it's an annexation of Greenland, whether it's trying to take back control of the Panama Canal, because that was in direct violation what the Chinese were doing of the Monroe Doctrine, but nobody cares, and we're just the big bad evil fascist people. We can't do anything. The Chinese get to run around. They get to go into our area and our geographical footprint and steal the minerals from Greenland. The country can bear it. They don't even have a military. This is, it's infuriating how we get treated different, how Trump's not allowed to do anything. Anything Trump does, oh, we want to annex a country that has a population of 57,000 people that can't even sustain themselves, that have power outages yearly because of the temperatures. They have horrible infrastructure, and they're going to get money through the Belt and Road from the Chinese? Absolutely not. And then we're still the bad people. Oh, they're just going to do a mineral deal with them. We're not interested in doing a mineral deal. We don't want any of those. I mean, if you take a look at some of the contracts that have to be signed through those minerals deals with Greenland, they're not positive. What we want to do, and we'll give them all of their autonomy. They got it in 2009. We respect that. We'll even do that. We want to secure the island. We want an Arctic footprint. The northern part of the island isn't even, there's no population there. We want the Arctic area of this island. And then they say, well, you can't do that. The Russians aren't doing it. Well, Russia already controls so much of the Arctic. Look at where their country's located. We only have Alaska. Why do you think we're trying to, Trump's talking about getting, Canada? I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, this is total crap. When asked about turning to China, she replied, quote, we do want to partner up with European and American partners, but if they don't show up, I think we'll need to look elsewhere. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I agree with these people that they do need to start mining, and they've got a ton of resources, even along the coastlines. And so it is true, they do have the largest deposit of rare earths that are untapped in the world. At least that's what we think. Who knows what's in Antarctica and some other places that haven't been sampled. But they've got a massive amount of untapped rare earths. I mean, listen, with where we're at in terms of our debt and our deficit, this is something we need to try and help with that. I mean, you're talking about $5 or $6 trillion just in minerals along the coastline, and that's going to cost money to mine, and it's going to take time. But we can do a deal with Greenland. This was the original idea. This is not going to be allowed. I mean, the EU should not allow this. Why would the EU allow this? It makes no sense. It's just this TDS stuff. It's like, how dumb are you? Why would we allow China to waltz across and do some type of deal and steal minerals from an area that's located right directly within the NATO footprint? What sense does that make? But it's just like all these liberals just hate Trump so much they want China to do well. And that's really what it comes down to. And so this is what we warned against. And so this is kind of what Trump can use and fearmonger and say, listen, they're going to get in bed with the Chinese. The issue that we have is the EU hates us, which is funny because you would think we're the patrol system of them. They demand we're helping Ukraine. We're giving Ukraine money now. We're giving them intelligence, but the EU still hates us because of Trump. So we have no support from the EU when it comes to annexing, and you still have to deal with Denmark to a degree. Although Denmark is just such a pushover. I mean, what is Denmark really going to do? You know, there's talk about the EU sending troops to secure Greenland. Who are you? Why don't you send troops to secure it from China? But no, the China could invade Greenland and the EU would allow it. But if we did anything, they have to send troops to try and stop us. Remember France? They said they were going to send troops to Greenland back when Trump got in and they were talking about annexing it. They say that and then they're just like, well, you know what? But if China annexes it, they're just angels and they've got the beautiful Belt and Road Initiative and look at how they've rebuilt Africa and it's just all horrible. But if we did anything like Belt and Road, that's why I said USAID should go away. We don't use that soft power at all. Are we getting any minerals? Are we getting any cobalt out of Africa through our USAID, which is supposedly soft power? It's completely inefficient. And but it's irrelevant. It's only $20 billion anyways. We have so much debt, it doesn't matter. But this is just, you see the lack of logic when it comes to this. This is what Trump was warning about. Greenland says it will turn to China if US and EU shun mining sector. We're not going to do a mining deal with Greenland when you look at their permits and just it's not worth it. We want the country to have access to all of the resources, and we're going to give them stuff. We're going to upgrade their infrastructure. Trump needs to give a formal proposal. We'll give you a formal proposal. The problem is the EU hates us, and so by proxy, by extension, the people of Greenland have turned against us, and the people of Greenland hate Trump for the most part. It is true because they didn't even, I mean, they shunned JD Vance when he visited there. And even, you had a story, one of the commanders, some woman that was stationed in the base in Greenland. We had a military base set up in Greenland because of World War II, and we controlled the island when Denmark was invaded by Nazi Germany in the early stages of World War II around 1940. But some woman was like, oh, she said something about Vance and how bad they like had to dismiss her. She was like, Vance shouldn't be here. It's like, lady, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what, it's just like some of these people, how are they even in these positions? You're talking about the vice president making a trip to a country that you're stationed at that we may annex. You need to, these people, they need a wake-up call is what they need. They need a wake-up call from the government or something. I don't know. But this is just more of the same. This is exactly what Trump said would happen. And then they try and do this thing to where they blame us. Well, the thing is we don't want a mineral deal with them. We want the land. The land is even more important than the amount of resources that they have, really. Because we have rare earths in the United States. That's why Trump is trying to, in part, it's not a big part of it, but there, the bill that he's trying to pass, there is $25 billion for refinement. But we have rare earths and we refine them in the United States. But it's not just the rare earths. It's more so important is the land, the access to the Arctic that we want, and the access to waterways like the Northwest Passage, like Baffin Bay with the fishing, like the Davis Strait. That's very important. Even the northern areas of the Atlantic Ocean. And so Trump realizes how important it is, but we knew this is but these people, they have to realize you're just justifying a US takeover. And we do this thing to where it's like, oh, you can't do this in the 21st century. So it all has to be through diplomacy. So how are we supposed to diplomatically take over they're not cooperating with us. So we would love if Greenland cooperated with us, but they won't because of the EU. But honestly, if you're Trump, you have to give them a formal offer, and you take it or leave it. You need to take it. They're talking about this is exactly what I said we should do. They're like, oh, now you know what? We actually do have a lot of minerals, but because we have 57,000 people total on this massive island, we don't have the capacity or the funds to extract them. So you're going to take a predatory Belt and Road Initiative grant? Seriously? Do you know how that ends? You're right next, you're to the east of Canada, and we're going to allow them to sign on to Belt and Road or whatever, some type of permit to mine and extract minerals? Absolutely not. No. I mean, this is what Trump warned. And so this is why there's gonna have to be an annexation of this country. I mean, we've tried with it, but it's like, I don't know what to tell them. You want to partner up with China, it's justification for an annexation, and really NATO and the EU countries should support our annexation of Greenland, or unless they want China to annex Greenland. But oh no, because technically it's not an annexation. Remember, China, they didn't annex the Congo, they just took all their cobalt. So it's not the same. So see, that's what they do. But the reason we need to annex them is because we actually need the Arctic access. So listen, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could argue, well, maybe there's a chance the United States, because there's an olive branch that Greenland is giving us. Maybe we can work out some type of mineral deal. But I think Trump wants, it's not the minerals necessarily. It is the minerals to a degree, but it's the land. It's the access to the Arctic that Trump really wants. And it's also, let's be honest, to have Greenland, it's a legacy play for Trump. It is. I mean, you say Greenland, that's always something. Whenever you look at a map of the United States and now it includes Greenland and it's the year 2070, who got us Greenland? That was Trump. So there is a legacy aspect to it for Trump, and Trump has known, he's wanted to acquire territory. This is just kind of, he talked about it in 2019. That was his first term. Now he's really getting more aggressive about it. There hasn't been a lot of talk recently about Greenland, but I mean, listen, it's obvious the United States is interested. They sent Don Jr., they sent Vance, but they're going to have to try and improve the relationship with the officials within Greenland. And if we don't improve the relationship with the officials in terms of the diplomacy, you're going to have to just invade the island. I mean, that's the only way you'd be able to get it. And I don't know where that leaves Denmark, because technically Denmark still owes it. Do we have to pay off Denmark? Does it matter? Denmark is just so weak. What does Denmark think about this news that they're trying to partner with China? Denmark's a part of NATO. Do they even care about this? These European countries are so cucked. They're just so cucked. There's no actual, they have so much TDS that they don't even care that China is trying to, but this is for Trump. This should be the fear mongering. This should be the fear mongering, and this is what we said would happen, and let's do something about it. But I don't know. I mean, our relationship with Greenland at this point, you could say, well, it's not completely destroyed because they still want to do a mineral deal with us, and this is their warning. But it's like they finally woke up and they said, oh, we have a ton of minerals here, but we only have 57,000 people. Our economy has no money. We need an infusion of money. That's the point. That's why we were trying to annex the country, so we could infuse and invest into the infrastructure and the mining. We would expand the mining capability of Greenland times 100, and they would get some of that, just like with Alaska. The people of Alaska get a certain amount of everything that's extracted from Alaska. It's the same thing with Greenland. So that's why that's why we were arguing their quality of lives would improve, but they realize it. But this is just for them. Why would you get into bed with China? Do you know how the Chinese operate in terms of infrastructure investment? It's very predatory. It doesn't end well. and you end up with a heavy reliance on China because of their investment. Maybe there are safeguards in place that Greenland has in terms of their laws, and I know they do have very strict permits in terms of mining, which is why I don't think Trump would be interested in a minerals deal unless it was restructured. But I don't know. I mean, this is just not good. This is what people warned about. Greenland is home to large but fairly inaccessible deposits of minerals, including gold and copper, located in a geopolitically critical area of the Arctic. Trump has repeatedly insisted that the U.S. will take over Greenland, a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, potentially. But yeah, so Trump did end up admitting, this might have been like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Fox News asked him, and he was like, you know what, I'll admit, we might have to just, we're going to have to just take it over any means necessary. He didn't say that exactly. He did hint at the idea that they would use force. Well, you know what? He was asked, would you use force to take over Canada or Greenland? He said, no way on Canada. He said, with Greenland, we're going to have to get it. We're going to need it. And so this is another thing that Trump can use to justify it. But I mean, it is definitely, I've heard people say, well, Trump, and it is an interesting idea, but I'm not sure if you could get this done in a short period of time. This is something that's extremely unpopular. This is for normie people. You just have to realize that, right? It had like a 20% chance approval when they did a poll on the United States taking over Greenland. Now, they don't know anything. They just think, oh, you can't take over. They don't even know what the Belt and the Road is. They don't know any of the predatory things that China does. So but again, it's like, well, we care about Trump's approval rating. This is a big problem if it happens. So the idea is when Vance wins, if Vance ends up winning in 2028 during Trump's lame duck, that's when you take over Greenland. So there is a window to do it there. But I mean, that would not be for a while. But I mean, this is something to where Trump realizes this will I don't know about significantly, this will hurt his approval rating. It just will, because it's not a great look in terms of annexation. Now, we know this is an amazing thing, and Greenland has been very mean to Trump, and it's more than justified to be able to do this to secure them. And also, Greenland's talking with China. But you know what? Liberals would be like, no. This is what liberals have said now. They've come out and they say, we think it's justified that China annexes Greenland, but Trump shouldn't be able to. See, this is how ridiculous these people are. They're deranged. So we're operating on like different wavelengths in terms of, they're like, yeah, you know what? They should just go all steal the cobalt from the mines in the Congo. That's totally, do they have any comment on that? They're like, well, you're taking advantage of Greenland. You're going to steal all their resources. Do you have any comment on the Congo the situation within the Democratic Republic of the Congo? No, they're allowed to do that. Okay. They're stealing all the cobalt. They have a full control over 70-80% of the cobalt in the world. China does, because of their predatory grants and infrastructure deals in Africa. But no, that's not bad. But if we did something like that, we would be racist white people. Okay. Yep. But they're allowed to do it. Okay. That's cool. And look at where Greenland is located. Greenland is on the north. It's part of North America. It's part of North America. It's right to the east of Nunavut. Think about it. So the idea that we're not allowed to touch it, and we're going to get this deal now, and they're going to remember, China said they want more Arctic control. They're going to get Arctic control within Greenland. Seriously? And we're going to have to do some crap mineral deal with Greenland to stop it from happening. So they're giving us an ultimatum. They're saying you need to do a mineral deal with a terrible permit structure, or we're going to get in bed with the Chinese. This is not ideal. We don't need this. We need to just American people need to just let us acquire the territory. It's not a big deal. But then all these people are like, oh, you can't do that. Now his approval rating is going to go down. Yeah, but they're totally fine with China and what they do, and it's like we have to move with kid gloves. And they even criticized Trump. Trump did something amazing with Panama Canal, and I don't know if he actually wants to take over the canal zone. Personally, I said I don't think he did, but Hegseth said in a statement a few months ago, we may have to mobilize. I don't know if that's true, if they're going to do something like that, but Hegseth visited the zone, and you know, we did a great thing kicking China off of those ports. And the ports were owned by Hong Kong. And so Beijing got angry and said, no, you're not going to sell them. I don't know if they're still being sold or what. They were going to be sold to BlackRock. And then people complained about that. Well, what do you want us to do about BlackRock buying them? Seriously, the administration just wanted the ports out from Chinese control. But then people are like, oh, but BlackRock's even worse. It's like Trump can never get a win. We want, and Rubio said it, they all said it, it was a violation. They should not have any control in Latin America. We built the canal. So why would they have control over, and it's not even about the control necessarily of the canal. They're like, well, Panama still owns the canal. They get all the toll money. They were tracking our supply chain going from the Atlantic to Pacific and vice versa. That's why they controlled both of the ports on each end. They were tracking our supply from each side. So it makes no sense why people would be against what Trump did with the Panama Canal, but people were still against it. So you can see how frustrating this is. Can we just annex a single territory? Is that too? We'll buy them. We'll just buy them. But I guess we can't annex them. It's not allowed in international law and all that. Oh yeah, international law. You know, international law goes away the second we leave NATO. Who is gonna morally impose international law through proxy power that we have? It's like these European countries have to realize the amount of power the United States has you're not going to be able to replace that. And I'm not saying we're going to leave NATO, but this stuff is it's insane. The power that these European countries think they have. Really, we should have reprimanded them for saying they were going to, for even saying that they were going to send troops to Greenland to fight us. We should have reprimanded France for doing that, honestly. The disrespect that is. But now we got to deal with this. So listen, this is one of those things to where, you know, this is just the 21st century. It's very hard to annex a country in the 21st century. And, you know, for Trump, this can be, in a way, justification. The problem is it's just very unpopular. There's just normies in the United States. They just watch Rachel Maddow. She's like, how bad is this? Meanwhile, they don't even, you know how the double standard is. But it is what it is, guys. Make sure you like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.